I think it's cruel to reject homosexuals.
Where do you find Jews rejecting homosexuals?
Well, I mean, it says in Leviticus that to lie, a man to lie with another man is a sin.
Mm-hmm. And so is eating pork. You see people being rejected for eating pork? You see people rejected for committing adultery? Do you see people rejected for being homosexual? It is a sin. But then again, we all have our sins. Nobody's being rejected for being homosexual. Homosexuality is being rejected, of course. So here we get to the same problem again. If you have someone you admire and respect very much, and you know that they're really good people with a good heart and good, everything's fine, but he's having an affair with his secretary and his wife doesn't yet know about it. So what do you say? He's a good man, leave him alone? Or you say he's a good man, will someone get him to stop doing this so he doesn't destroy himself and his family? So you have to be able to separate the fact that you can have a very good person doing something very bad. Help them find a solution. But don't tell them they're okay the way they are. And what about the guy who says, but I'm so unhappy in my marriage? What do you want me to live in misery for the rest of my life? I have to have an affair with my secretary. It's the only thing that keeps me going. It's the only thing that's exciting in my life. My wife makes me miserable. And I can't divorce her because she has all the money. Or something like that. Huh? Everybody sins with a reason. Nobody sins just for the heck of it.
But if it's so natural to so many people and they have love in it, I don't understand. I mean, if two lesbians have so much love for, and they raise children and they teach them values and they don't influence, you'll see heterosexual children coming out of, parents that were lesbian or gay. I don't see how it's
destructive. Even if it's not horrible, it's a sin. Well, eating ham is not horrible, it's a sin.
Why is this? What is the reason?
I don't know. No. I don't know why it's a sin. Normal and not normal have nothing to do with it. For a man and woman to have sex is not normal. Is it? Is it?
A man and a woman or a man and a woman?
Man and a woman. It is.
For a man and a woman to have.
Mm-hmm. It's not normal.
Twisting the question, like you're asking me, is that a normal act?
Mm-hmm. Is it?
So yes.
Is it a natural act? Yeah. Is it?
For children, it would be.
Let's.
Are you playing with the word sex? Like, are you?
No. Let's imagine it. Let's turn the tables here. What is more natural, for a man and a woman to be together, or for two men to be together? What's more natural? Two men. Why no?
Animal level? Like, what are you talking about?
Nature. We're talking about nature, right? So what's more natural, to cross the gender line or to stay within the gender line?
That's not right. God would not have made it one of his commandments.
Wait. We're not talking about commandments. We're not talking commandments. We're talking natural, right? What's more natural? What's more natural for you to marry? One sec.
That's how the world.
What's more natural for you to marry a guy who you haven't known for the first 25 years of your life, or to marry your brother? What's more natural?
I don't know what natural means. I don't understand how you're using it here.
Natural means given by nature. What were you given by nature? A husband or a brother?
A brother, but that's why it would be unnatural, because it is something totally in us that would make that affirm. Just
What is it in us that makes that abhorrent? Not nature. Second nature.
When it's a member of your family, you don't feel what you should feel for a spouse.
In fact, even according to the Bible, even according to the Torah, what was the most natural marriage in the Torah? Who did Cain and Abel marry? Where did they get cousins from? Adam and Eve were the only people in the world, and they had children, and those children married whom? Each other. So is that natural or not?
Well, it had to start somewhere, but
In other words, nature makes that necessary. Marriage is an invention,
yeah, but that was.
So we should all marry our brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
but it was a brother and sister.
Could, like, you're changing it, you're changing.
Yeah, I'm asking two questions. I'm asking two questions. I'm asking you two questions. What is more natural, a man with a man or a man with a woman? And what is more natural, a woman with a strange man or a woman with her own brother or father? Which is more natural?
And that's incest,
So, is incest unnatural?
Yes, it is unnatural.
No. No. On the contrary, the sin is the more natural. And that's why God had to come and say, no, don't just do it like that. Do it a new way. Do it a special way. Do it my way, not the natural way. And that's why there's a commandment or a mitzvah. But by nature we would do the sin. Naturally, we would do not we would do bad. We would do we would have the sinful relationship rather than the kosher one, because it is more natural.
Oh, so what would pull us so much to do good?
Commandments.
Commandments?
The point I'm making is this: when God says don't do such and such, then such and such must be natural. Because if it isn't natural, then people won't do it anyway, and there doesn't have to be a commandment. The only time God commands us not to do something is if to do it would be natural. So God says, don't eat pork. Why in the world shouldn't we eat pork?
Why shouldn't we eat lobster?
Yeah. Why shouldn't we? So God says, the fish that have fins and scales you can eat, and the ones without, not. What kind of sense does that make? But it's not because they're dirty. Carp is dirty. And yet it's a Shabbos delicacy. So what I'm saying is that we confuse morality with nature. We're not on the right track. It's not that God prohibits us from doing unnatural things. No. God prohibits us from doing natural things. Unnatural things people don't do.
If it wasn't that tempting, it wouldn't say thou shalt not.
Right.
It would say thou
And-
shalt not eat stones, because.
Right. Right. And it doesn't say thou shalt not be perverted. It doesn't say that. Because if you are perverted, then, do whatever you want, because it's too late anyway. You're beyond help. But this idea that the homosexual is wrong because it doesn't produce children, that's not true. And that it's wrong because it's unnatural or it goes against nature, that's not true. And by preaching that, we only confuse the issue. We don't make it any better. We don't make people more moral by telling them that homosexuality is abnormal. If you want to teach morality, teach morality. Don't teach abnormality. So if you're going to tell a homosexual not to be homosexual, give them the true reason. Don't make up false excuses. Don't tell them you shouldn't do this because it's unnatural. It doesn't say that anywhere in the Bible. It says don't do it because that's not what God intended, even if it is natural. Then you're teaching morality. Otherwise, someday Somebody is going to come along who's an expert on nature and biology and is going to prove in the laboratory that it is natural. Then what are you going to say? The Bible was wrong? They're already proving that incest is not harmful psychologically. So all of a sudden incest is going to become kosher? Yeah, because if you keep telling people that the only reason incest is wrong is because it messes up the child, what if they prove that it doesn't mess her up? Then what? Then it's kosher? They say, well, as long as it doesn't mess anybody up, what the heck?